Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Adulting with Mr. Welch. On today's episode, we're going to learn about how to hang a curtain rod. That's right. I know it's going to be kind of bad filming right now because of the lighting behind me, but I'm going to talk to you about why we're doing what we're doing right now. So you're going to either go out and get a job, and you might have to work nights, or you're going to go to college, and as you go to college, you're going to have these nights that you have to study all night. You're going to wake up in the morning, and that sun is just going to be blaring in your window, and you're going to be like, oh, this is the worst. Well, good news. This is my son's room, and what we're going to learn today how to install some blackout curtains. Now, these aren't perfect, they're pretty good. See, they're going to black out a lot of light for us and keep it a lot darker in the room earlier. It also means that when it's, I don't know, 8 o'clock at night and you realize, hey, I got a big day tomorrow, I need to go to bed, and you're looking at, you're looking outside and you see all your friends playing outside and having a good time, you need to just block it all out. We can at least block out the light. And those nice summer nights, we can go to bed a little early. Now, what I did, I bought a couple of curtains, blackout curtains off of Amazon. Also bought a couple of curtain rods. Okay, curtain rods are extendable. They slide in and out of themselves. So that allows us to be the size that we need to. Please make sure that before you order stuff that you've looked at the overall size of your window, both height and width. And most of the time, you're going to want to buy two panels. One single piece is called a panel. So you're going to want to buy two panels usually to go the right side, left side, unless you have a really narrow window, and then you just use one. Now, because of the length of our rod, if I just put one connection on each end, it's going to sag in the middle under the weight of the curtain rod and the curtains. And so they actually provide us with three of these guys, okay? And they're brackets that allow us to attach the curtain rod to the wall. You'll notice that there's two holes in the back, okay? Oops, this bottom one right here is the one that we're going to set everything on. That's going to be our actual height measurement we're going to put everything on. It's really set basically on the lowest that we can get into the window or into the wall without going down to the window. And then this top one, we can kind of just set it wherever in that depth. As long as this bottom one is set, it can't drop any lower than that. Then we're just going to drill in there. Now, to be able to attach these to the wall, they did provide us with a toolkit of some screws. You notice they have a sharp tip that allows them to go into the sheetrock pretty well. However, if you're not also going into a stud, a piece of 2x4 wood, you're going to end up with the weight of the curtain rod. Anybody ever pulling on it, it's just going to tear out of the sheetrock. Sheetrock is not able to hold any real significant weight. So they provide you with little expansions. Okay, and these are little plastic pieces, and you can see, if you see the light through there, they can actually get wider as something is stuck down the middle. And so if we were to realize we don't have a stud to screw into, piece of wood to screw into behind the sheetrock, we would drill a hole. Okay, so we get out our drill bits. Let's say this is probably the right one, but we take this drill bit. We're going to drill a hole to then slide this guy into that hole, and we'll use a hammer to pound it into the wall. And now that this is embedded in the wall, we can put a screw through that. That's important. When doing this, you would want to put your expansion piece into the sheetrock first, then we put our piece against it, our bracket against it, then we'll slip the screw through, okay? We don't want to try to push this expansion piece from the outside of the bracket. We want to have it already in the wall, then the bracket, then the screw. That's the right order in which to assemble that. All right, so what I'm going to do right now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my stud finder. I know my wife's usually the stud finder in our house, but we're going to use this stud finder. That's a dad joke, by the way. We're going to use this stud finder, which is going to allow us to see if there is a stud in the wall that we can screw into, and we're going to mark that off. So just stay with me for just a second. Okay, so what we found, it's a bit of a guessing game. Normally we put a stud finder on the wall. Oops, there it goes. We press the button down, and we kind of slide it off the wall. That beep, that's telling me I've got a stud right there. Unfortunately, Up here in and around windows, you also have those studs, harder to find because of that. Just because you're trying to structurally support your house. And so what I'm going to honestly do at this point, I don't want to do a little bit of guessing for a bunch of holes. I'm going to put the screws where I want them. And if I hit it for great. If I don't hit a stud, pull the screw out and then I'll just go right back to that. So I'm going to start over here on the right, and once I have my measurement, my here, and then I'm going to try to match that over on the left and get the two sides to agree and to look symmetric. And then I'm just going to find the center using my basic math and my tape measure. We're also good with basic math. And so we'll kind of go to that point. So bear with me. Okay, so now we're looking at the first one in here. I'm actually using a level. That makes level across, level up and down. I want to make sure that I'm not doing this at a tilted angle or anything like that. But I just happen to find a stud on my first one. I'm just out a little bit from the edge of the window. So I'm looking at the bottom of my bracket, or at least some measurement that makes sense. The top of my bracket is 11 and a half inches down from the ceiling. So 11 and a half. That's number one to remember. 11 and a half. And what I want to measure here is how far out I am from the window. Quarters for the outside. So I've got an inch fourth to get to the outside of my bracket. Now I want to try to match that when I get over to the other side of the window. Then once those are set, I'll measure between them and go for midway between the center for my center bracket. Let's put we're again 11 and a half inches down. And then we'll work our way down to 11 and a half down. From the inside of the window, it's going to be an inch and 3/4 to the outside. Try to follow those lines right up, find a meet and that measurement. Now when I grab my next bracket, a couple of screws and a couple of expansions if I need them. One of the quickest ways to kind of tell if you have a stud is actually to take the drill bit and drill into the spot you're trying to go. Again, remember, we're going to put our bracket in here, have it sitting in the same spot. Looks like I'm doing a top, outside corner to get to my numbers here. That's going to let me come right in here and put a dot where my first drill hole would go. Not going to go into number 2 yet. I'm just going to start this first hole, drill, and I definitely get a stud. I can feel that tension. You get through the sheetrock really fast. Yeah. Now I'm going to put this screw in because it's my bottom screw without worrying about the bracket. As I get that nice and close, I can slip the bracket down over the top. Now some bracket sets actually have complete circles as opposed to that U shape. So I might have to have the screw in, I might have to have the bracket on when I'm putting that screw in. So I'm dealing with a different kind. Now, second piece, I want to make sure this is level. So I'm going to take my little level here and just try to keep this as flush as I can to level. If it's level up and down, it's going to be level side to side in this type of a situation. So I don't need to worry too much about it. And then I am just going to put the screw a little bit of the size of my drill. You might find that you want to use a traditional screwdriver. Maybe just because you don't want to pack around a big drill when you go to live in an apartment. But in the long run, it's a great tool to have. Definitely worth the time and money to put a little bit into it. So I'm going to get about 6 inches. Now I am not shooting for perfect here. okay, by any means. I'm actually 2.5 if you go outside to outside. So I'm just going to take that number, 2.5, which is 31 1/4. I'm going to come over here to 31 1/4, put a mark right there. That's where I want that to be centered. And I'm going to come down to 11.5 again, which is right there. And that's where I want my next bracket to be lined up. Pass that last bracket, and we'll revisit. All right, just a couple steps left. I know the video's been a little long, but we're going to get through it here real quick. Last step is to feed our curtain onto our curtain rod. Now, the curtain will actually have a loop in the back side of the curtain somewhere, okay? You can see there's this big seam right here. That's usually where the hole is, and so we're just going to slip the end of this right through there. No reason to take the rod apart at all. We're going to slip both of these on, making sure we're facing the same way on both of them. There is a front and back to these, just which one looks pretty and which one doesn't. Now, we've got this on here. If we do this right, we should be able to just slip both ends inside of the that we have there. And there's a little tightening nut that's on each of them, or tightening screw. Once I have the rod in and I'm happy with where it's sitting, to keep the rod from sliding around, we'll just tighten those down and be done. All right, here we go. I like to take the thin part of the rod. One side is the thin part of the rod. I like to get that one first. That up. And then I've got to split the curtain so that I can go right down the middle here. That middle. Now, because I'm on the thicker side of the rod, I'm definitely going to have to loosen up these nuts in order to get the rod inside of my holder here. Curtain rods are really built for the thin piece. Now, this one doesn't want to spin. I'm going to grab a pair of pliers I have handy. A lot of times this one's going to be picky, so bear with me. We'll just get her unscrewed far enough. Slide our rod through. It's going to be that one, aren't you? Sometimes, you know, threads not lined up right when they put it in the factory and stuff with out threads, but never fear, we're almost there. Oh, there we are. That one's not really going to do anything to tighten up. So I've got this right on the edge here. Similarly on this side, I'm going to pull the end of the rod in, tighten that up right in the middle, right there on the edge, again right in the middle. Now, the curtain rod up, we can see that we're going to have that light coming in the middle of the morning. Okay, so now this is, what are we at, 8:40 in the morning. Still pretty dark in here, whereas before, without our rod, even with our curtains closed, man, we got blaring light in, right? We have our, so behind us, I do have a set of blinds to go with the curtain. That's just, you know, blinds were always there. Putting the curtains in is just an added step to make sure that I'm getting the light control that I want. Hopefully this helps you and you're going to find an opportunity. One thing to keep in mind, a lot of times landlords don't like it when you put holes in the wall at all. This is obviously going to put some holes in the wall. So you can either check with your landlord. You might have to pay a fee afterwards if you did this. If you're going to be there for a long time, it's a big difference. There are what are called compression rods. And a compression rod will actually sit inside of the window. Okay, inside of the window jamb. You won't put any holes in the wall, but you do have to get it just tight. It's kind of like a shower curtain. You got to press it in a little bit, squeeze it in there, and boom, it wants to pop out, and it will hold a curtain rod up. So if you're in an apartment where you don't want to install something permanent, or you don't want to spend the money on a fancy rod, you might be able to save a few bucks or save some hassle using a compression rod. But hopefully that helps, and hopefully you get some sleep. All right, guys, we'll see you later.